Oh, I finally think I'm live. Well, that was difficult. It just seems to bug out when I try to go live on Facebook, but here I am, and I think that you can all see me. I'll just see if there's any comments. If you can see me, then please comment. I'm just checking in with my friends, see if I'm live. Okay. So I'm live. I'm good to go. So, yeah, here we are for the second live podcast. And I really appreciate all the comments you made last week about the live and those that posted to YouTube to share your musings on the live. I really appreciated that too. And here we are again in quite intense energy. And I think that's why these podcasts are kind of so needed right now. We're feeling really pressured. I don't know whether you feel that. And there doesn't feel, someone commented today in the Rose Temple that it still feels like 2025. It does, yeah. And that's because when we've not finished the process yet of this whole, you know, shedding of skin that the snake brought us. We're still doing that until mid-February. In fact, that's when that cycle ends. So if you feel like you're still stuck, it's right. We're ending the phase of casting our skins. But what we're truly feeling this week is after that moon is the cardinal cross. We've had a cardinal cross, and this midpoint in January is the height of the pressure of the cardinal, pattern. It comes into the full cross in certain moments, and that's why our tensions feel like they're coming in waves. There are days where it feels manageable, but there are days where it can feel really, really overwhelming. And that is the intensity of this cardinal cross. And we mustn't forget that the intensity of pressure is what actually brings transformation. It brings change. We all know the analogy of the diamond and how much pressure it takes to make a diamond. And that's the same for us. It really is intense and it's strongest through to the mid-January, and then it will start to ease off. But what is this pressure? We might be feeling it emotionally. We might be feeling it physically in the body. We might be feeling the pressure of certain situations of our lives that are actually making life feel very, very uncomfortable. They're not steady. You might feel that you're in kind of really crazy loops at the moment, but this is that pressure, and it will begin to loosen when Mars moves on and the opposition softens, but we're not out of it yet, because this is really truly a reorientation process into the early part of the year that's going to take us into that deeper lessons as we go in. This cardinal cross is a configuration of tension. It really is initiating deep change within you. It's creating pressure, frustration, that emotional overload, because it's trying to force truth through your body. If you're feeling the intensity, like I've had a really emotional weekend this weekend. I found the energy really thick and quite tough, and I felt like time was being stretched in a loop that I'm currently in. And that way it will force orientation. It really is trying to make you work hard and see it, like really see it, so that you can work out what's going on for you. And I really suggest that even though it's really freaking uncomfortable, that you sit with it, that you sit in this energy. So I want you to, I mean, you can put in the comments under this video what you've been feeling, what are the emotions that have been coming up, what are the personal loops, if you wish to share, that you found yourself in, and what is it asking you to change? What is coming up for change? So I'm going to give you some clarity maybe on the aspects of the cross. So we're in Capricorn energy, and this is about reality and responsibility. Capricorn is something that really likes to hold structure, responsibility, long-term commitments. And so it's asking you to structure, like, where are you in structure? Where are you overstructured? Or where are you understructured in your life? And what responsibility are you taking for your life? And where are you being over responsible? Because we're looking at this cross as mind, body, spirit. It's in opposition, it's showing us the opposites. So, what I've been asking myself within this Capricorn framework is, what am I carrying that is no longer viable? So for me, kind of, I always overextend myself, and I can no longer do that without it costing me health and my own peace. So this is something that's really shown up itself in this cycle for me, is that I need to change that. I need to stop doing that. And underneath that lies this great big childhood wound. Of course, it sat on top of the behaviors, always sat on top of the wound. And so I really want to heal that. I also want to change the behavior. And I think it's really fitting for Capricorn because it's asking you to look at where you're currently living from obligation rather than from alignment. So where are you feeling obliged to do? I always feel obliged to help. I don't know why, this is all stemming from the childhood thing, but in those situations at the moment that it occurs, I always feel I need to help. And I don't know why in those moments I always offer help. But having studied this and felt this, I understand now why I do that. And it's really not in alignment with my soul. It's more out of obligation and the wounding that this behavior is coming through. So, can you identify something that is being held in this Capricorn energy that is trying to release itself from your behavior patterns and therefore from your life? There is a deep emotional heaviness with this. An emotional heaviness increases for you if you don't face the truth, actually. And the more emotional you are, the more you're avoiding the truth of a situation. It's really asking us in a baseline to understand that something in your life must be restructured if you want to move forward. So name what it is that needs to be restructured to help you move forward into the energy, out of the snake, into the horse, and out of this cardinal cross when it begins to move. I also want to mention Mars in the cross. And Mars energy brings urgency. It brings us the need to act on it, to do something about it now. And this might bring up emotions like anger, desire. You might have really deep feelings of desire. And that instinct of yours might be really kicking in. It might be really screaming at the moment. We're very instinctual as women. But instinct comes when we're really close to that inner world, to the soul, to our eros, to our desire. Desire and instinct are really bedmates. They really are. So we need to understand that if we are suppressing desire, then we're also numbing the instinct. And what really helps me as a practicing earth-based practitioner in Druidry is that the animals that appear in my dreams and animals that appear to me consistently in waking life. Like, I have a robin that's constantly coming on my patio. I can see her feeding now. There was a pheasant that ran across the road yesterday. There's these little signs, and animals in Jungian psychology represent our instincts. The animal instinct lies within the human instinct, and they might give you clues as to what instincts you are blocking, you are not tuned into. But when Mars is in this cross, it really feels like we are blocked. we can't quite move through. I mean, I've been in a repeated pattern that I just can't seem to escape from. And I know it's a deep lesson and it's trying to help me, but it feels frustrating. And these are the words of Mars: blocked, frustrated. And you might feel completely exhausted. If you're feeling very fatigued at the moment, it's probably due to the exhaustion of being in this cycle, the exhaustion of the irritability, the frustration, the not uh, things not moving. And what this will do, it will give you sudden impulses to do things that you then doubt. So we've got to remember that when we use instinct, we can't doubt what we do. And I asked Mother Earth the other day to give me, I instinctually felt to do something, and I said, show me a sign if I'm not meant to do it. And then later, the sign I asked for was a magpie, actually. And later, when I was in the situation that I'd asked, should I do, the magpie appeared on the tree later. And it was like a little nudge from the divine, from the mother, saying, you used your instinct, don't doubt it. So using your instinct will give you clarity, even if it brings up a sense of awkwardness or you've done something wrong. And this energy really leaves a clean, clear channel if you can really find that instinct within the self, the desire and the instinct. The lesson with Mars and this instinctual energy is not to explode. It's easy with Mars to be very kind of explosive, warlike, but it's asking us not to suppress it either, but to contain it, be aware of it, and allow it to move into action. So that's really the energy of this Mars in the cardinal. The final place I want to go to within the planets is Saturn in the cross. Saturn has such a huge impact on us as human beings. And what we're feeling and seeing right now is that when Saturn sits in this cross, it's the weight of consequence. That's what's being weighted within our mind, body, and spirit. Everything that we are living and around and are exposed to is part of a sequence of consequences. So Saturn asks us, what is real? What is real that you can move into? Not fantasy, not this big dream. Like, have your dream for sure, but what's real at the moment? What's sustainable for you? And Mars really slows us down so that we don't bypass consequence, basically, so that we understand that everything we've been doing has accumulated to what is in the now. And so this is where it can feel quite depressive. We all want to bypass this, of course we do. But can we truly own that our life is a sequence of consequences, and the ownership is not because something's wrong with you. It's this is part of life. Suffering, part of life is getting it wrong, part of life is making mistakes, part of life is the ugly as well as the beautiful. So don't see this as something you've done wrong, but rather some illusions that you were in. And it brings us out of that inner child where we can sit in as victim, as irresponsible, and it really pulls us into an emotional adult that then realizes a lot of what we've been doing has created the circumstances and the consequences that we're living in. And I think that really, for me, has made me humble up. Being in a victim space as a woman, I find really difficult for myself to be in victim, because it makes me feel really disempowered. It makes me feel like I'm not in the space of being able to do something about something. So I hate to position myself in victim, even though sometimes I might feel it. But what I do is pull myself out the illusion that I'm this small child that is not, able to do something about that. and bring my adult self in to regulate, to emote, and to move things forward, not punish me, not be the punishing adult within myself. So all of this is quite big on our psyche, and that's why you're feeling like hiding away. That's why you feel super tired. I know I'm hearing a lot of people say that they just want to get in bed and watch movies. Like, we need that bit of escapism from the mind and from the things that are going on, but we can't escape it all the time. We need to have still time. We're still in the depths of winter. We need to have on this side of the world anyway. And if you're in the other side, if you're in the spring side, you're kind of feeling that space of, you know, what's opening up for you, whereas we're still very much on the inner, but we're all feeling quite emotionally compressed. We feel torn between options. Don't worry if you're not feeling like you've made any big decisions and that you haven't made a choice. It's not the time for choice at the moment. It's the time to line up your choices and say, oh, wow, this is what's in front of me right now. And I'm not sure yet. That's okay. And this uncertainty, this kind of liminal, is affecting our nervous systems. We feel safe when we know. We feel safe when we've made a choice and we've made a decision and we move forward with it. And so dysregulated nervous systems will be normal. You probably feel like you're in a little bit of survival. So do things to help the nervous system. Use your breath work, do yoga, meditation, anything that helps regulate your nervous system. And, what I find really useful is when women share what they use to regulate. For me, it's definitely having nurturing time. I do some vagus nerve exercises. The most effective one that I find is placing the left hand over the left eye and taking the right eye right up to the ceiling and just holding that for a few moments. This is like an EMDR technique, and they've shown that this is really quick. The optical nerves really quickly help regulate the vagus nerve. Another one is to place the hands behind the head. I do this in bed, and I take my glance to the left and I hold that glance until I yawn or cough or make some somatic movement. I find them very quick to bring my regulation into a more stable place as I do breath work. So, doing different types of pranayama also really helps me. Old coping strategies are not working. Like, I found as a yoga practitioner, some of the pranayama, some of the physical asanas that I used to use to help calm me no longer work for me. And that's because your body's evolving, the techniques are evolving. I do think yoga as a standard space for nervous system regulation, but if you've been using them for a long time, maybe your body's not responding to them like they used to. So find some new strategies. And I think what I'm seeing collectively and what I've been really energetically and psychically seeing is that spiritual language is feeling very thin if it's not embodied. So be careful of those nuances, those, throwaway terms that we say, like positive vibes, or just, oh, that's a trigger, that's projection. Like, we just can use words quite flippantly, and I can feel it, and I'm sure you can as you're reading and looking about in the spiritual world, that some things feel very non-embodied. And I think the language is very obvious when someone isn't embodied in the work. The statements are very blanket, it's very flippant, it's not coming from an experience space, it has no depth, it has no weight, it doesn't offer any transformation. So you'll start recognizing that and seeing that under the psycho-spiritual energy of this week, and note those things, trust the instinct that those people, those situations, those terminologies, these people that keep talking about attachment, and we are attached, we do judge. All of those things are very like lightweight statements for huge banks of pedagogy, philosophy, and understanding of how that is embodied and healed and worked with. So stay aware. This is very much as any cardinal crosses. The intensity this week is going to be really felt, and it shows you when you come to a cross, you cannot go back. You cannot rush forward either. You are at this crossroad place. You are being offered choice. You must use instinct. You must use feeling. You must reorientate. You must recalibrate here and say, where am I going? Where am I going? And this is so beautifully timed with regards to the fact that we're coming into the year of the horse. We're not there yet. We're not in the horse body. We're not in the horse archetype energy. We're still casting the skin of the snake. So be patient with yourself. At this cross, and I'm going to be teaching this in my Year of the Horse class next week. I'm going to be teaching you what it feels like to be at this crossroad somatically, and how we prepare the psyche, the soma, to go forward into the horse archetype, into the horse body, because the horse doesn't run in this grand cross. The horse energy is on the reins. We have the reins of the horse. We're feeling the tension. We're testing the ground. We're waiting for coherence. And what horse medicine is doing to us right now this week is pause before action. Body truth. Body, because the horse is about body. Body truth before mental strategy. And refining those instincts, but being patient. The horse is very patient. And when the cross loosens, we will have that moment of decisiveness where our horse energy will move forward. So there's no forcing decisions at the minute. There's no collapsing into helplessness. The only thing we can do is prepare, be still, be in the body, be in our instinct, allow our desire, be aware of what's held us back and behaviors that have held us back, and we will be ready to move this forward. I think what I want to sum up, I wrote this down today, like how could I sum up this energy this week? It's that the cardinal cross does not ask us to choose faster. It's not about fastness. It asks us to choose truer to our instinct and our nature. And it's to let structure, instinct, and soul come back into alignment. So I'm going to say that again. Structure, instinct, and soul coming back into alignment. That is the energy of this week. So if you take anything from this forecast, it's try to feel that energy of structure, instinct coming into a body soul alignment. It's really important. And the last thing I want to share in this podcast is really about the energy of the archetypes. I love working with female archetypes. I think they're so underutilized in our world. I can see that the field of archetype is getting bigger, and more women are understanding that these goddesses, these inspirational mythological stories of women are held in our blood and bones, and they linger around because they're trying to connect to us and show us where our own powers are, where we can activate these within our own self. So I will be bringing in the energy into this call of Epona, and Epona is this beautiful Celtic goddess of the horse. I will be sharing her again in much more detail in my Year of the Horse course. And ultimately for this week, I want you to feel her and call her in, because she is the goddess horse archetype, and she was meant to have been born from the mother of a horse. The mother was a horse and the father was human. And she represents the guardian of transitions. She guardians us into transitional states. She presides over the crossroads, over the thresholds, and the passage and the reorientation of time. She also is the symbol of sovereign bond between your body and your instinct. I love this. This has been coming up massively for me. And I think it's because I've been writing on Epona for the horse, Year of the Horse circle. But she really brings humanness of a father with the deep instinct of the mare, of the feminine horse. So beautiful energy to feel into, especially for those of you who are horse types. I'd love to see your shares. Those of you that work with horses physically, I know they're big threshold spiritual creatures that can teach us as the feminine instincts that we could really, really do with as we advance forward into this year. But not only about that, about the bond between body and instinct, but about femininity and authority, what we choose to hold and not force. So Epona really is with us, trying to teach us that not all movement is meant to be fast, that it's meant to be embodied, patient, and in tune with our instincts and correct astrological timing. So there's a lot there, and I didn't want to do this lightly because there's so much in it for us. I'm really feeling that there is much for us to gain from this should we reap the astrological medicine that is trying to show us and the archetypal medicine that is about upon this time. I think 2026 is such a threshold year. This is really, really a chance for us to take some deep, big movements. And this is why I wanted to teach the year of the horse. I always teach the year. I did the snake last year. I'm going to be teaching the Year of the Horse as a one-off live class with a PDF workbook that will guide you for the rest of the year. But I'm also offering a deeper circle for women that really want to connect every month with me, and I take them through the different thresholds that the horse has for us in each and every month. And that starts in January. So if you really, at the end of this month, so if you really want to grab the reins of the horse and work with the energy this year, then I will post the links to those circles underneath this. But it gives everyone an opportunity to work with this energy in the way that they want. So I'm wishing you a really deep, spacious week where you can tune into instinct to help you make some bigger decisions. And I will post in the group this week some questions and some maybe some little exercises that might help you work on deepening your connection with your own instinct. But for now, I'm going to leave it there and wish you all a really deep transformational week. Go very gently, take care of yourself, rest, reflect, get in the body. And I look forward to being with you all again next Monday. So take care for now. I'm sending you much love. Oh, yes. And before I go, there is also a call tonight. I am running a threshold call. I'm kind of, there's so much going on. I want to create a overview really of what this is asking of the feminine in particular, all this movement, all this energy, the horse being part of it, but not all of it. So if you wish to join me, it's a free class. The link's in the group. You're all welcome. I'm so happy to see so many people have already signed up to that. The link is a Zoom. You just need to register for the Zoom. And I will see you at 7 o'clock tonight if you're joining me for that. The link, the replay will be available to those that register. If you register and you can't make it, it will be emailed out to you. So take care. Bye for now.